And he's just like, yeah, man, he broke man code.
Broke the bro code. Seriously.
Don't do
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah.
I love you. If you ever need
Back.
me to punch someone in the throat, or if someone ever hurts you, I will gladly punch them in the throat.
Really? Glad you said that, because I actually have a list here.
Dave Tanner. Fuck him up. Right on.
Hello and welcome to Stream Team Podcast Episode 8. I am your host, Jamel Singleton, and joining me as always is the lovely and talented Joe Holt. How you doing, Joe?
I'm doing good, sir. How about yourself?
Doing pretty good. If this is your first time listening to the show, here's how we roll. We start each show with a recap of what we've been reading, watching, playing. Then, it's on to the main event, an in-depth film review. This week's main event is the 2012 film End of Watch. So, Joe, how you been, bro? What's up?
Dude, I've been... What's up, dog? No, I gotta stop. I am white. Stop it. You're gonna make me do something weird again.
You're my brother, man, so
Yo, man.
that makes you like, 1/8 black.
Oh, really?
Yeah, totally.
Hey, did you know it's impossible to lick your elbow? Just wanted to throw that out there. That's what's up, dude. No, I have been playing seriously playing the crap out of Dead Island. It's an interesting game. I'm feeling like nothing is happening, but I can't stop coming back to this world and killing frigging zombies. It's now becoming a problem. Like, my wife acknowledges that I have issues killing zombies. Like, I need to go, and she said, "You killing any zombies today?" And I'm like, "No, I have not protected the world at all today. I have a problem."
It's the juxtaposition. It's that the world is so beautiful because the game takes place on the resort on a tropical island, yet it's like partially destroyed and there's angry zombies running around all over the place.
And I am, as much as I am playing, I'm still getting my ass whooped on a regular basis. I have not figured out I just now, like after 3-4 days of playing, just now figured out rage. Which I still don't understand what the purpose of it is. Like, I feel like I needed to have some kind of manual that walked me through what the buttons were and what everything did. But it's a fun game, man. It's a fun game. I chose to play. I don't even know my character's name. It was like one of the first guys that showed up, though. When I tried it a couple weeks ago, and I was telling you it was hard, I had tried it playing the last guy that you can select. Like, he's some. I don't know if he's like Australian or New Zealand or something.
Oh yeah,
but he's like a paratrooper or some kind.
Yeah,
he's definitely like paramilitary.
Military, yeah.
Yeah, and it put me swamped, like right smack dab in the middle of the city, and I couldn't even get out of the little area that it started me in. I kept dying. Like every time I tried to get out of that area, I just died, dead. It was horrible, and I was getting so frustrated. So I didn't want to be one of the two chicks. And one of the guys was like a knife thrower, and I was like, F that, like I want to get in close and kill some zombies. So it was whoever that guy is.
You playing with the brother, huh?
Yeah, well, I didn't want to say it, but yeah, because I don't see race, but but he is a badass.
Yeah, he is.
He's got like some voodoo club jacket on or something like that. But
yeah, he's all about the melee weapons too.
Yeah, dude. So I'm using like hammers and a sickle. The sickle is my friend, dude. That sickle is bad ace. Yeah. I sniped some chick, jumped at me, and I went and I took her head off, and it did that slow motion, like the head flying one way and the body still coming towards me. It was awesome. But of course, I'm an amateur, so I pressed like 19 times. So the game slows down and her body splits apart. She falls down, and all of a sudden I just see myself going because I pressed the button so many times. But completing the little missions and things like that, I have a hard time figuring out what my real mission is and what my side missions are. Like, it tells you under quests, but I feel like I still don't quite get it.
Oh, yeah. I've been... So I started playing it again, too. So eventually we could play together, and I'd be back up to speed on it.
Awesome.
And, before I'd played with the rapper as well when I first played the game. And when I started playing it again, I started a new character, and I'm actually playing as the girl, the martial artist. And I died a couple times. It was the first time I ever died in that game with her, but I died like 2 or 3 times. Just, I guess she's just not as strong as he is. Because what I like to do with him, especially with the big berserker zombies, is get in close. And, I kind of just keep kicking them and slashing away. And I try to like either chop off or break their arms. Yeah. And then wait for them to try to bite you. And then kind of just laugh and kick them. And, So I do a lot of playing with the zombies. That's usually how I kill them. One of the things I like to do is, I don't know if you noticed, but they can drown.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so like I'll get them in the water. Yeah, I'll get them in the water and kind of kick them down. And then when they're trying to get up, I'll keep kicking them and just watch them go like glug, 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 glug. Yeah, so it's kind of funny.
The ones that continually freak me out are the screamers, the runners.
Oh, yeah. They're just infected. They're not full zombies yet.
Oh, man. That scares every single time. Like, I hear that screech, and the hair on the back of my neck just shoots right up, and it freaks me out.
They've got the run animation is so good for those guys.
Yeah, where they're, like, fully into it. Yeah, they start off low.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's when you get a truck and you just... plow through those guys.
They go right through the windshield.
It's great too because like they don't stop running when they see you coming with a truck. They kind of keep running full speed, and you get that real satisfying crunch.
So here's what I don't understand. I didn't realize that I was playing online with other people. Apparently, I was playing a little bit today, and I ended up killing zombies inside of this bungalow or whatever. And I turn around and there's this dude like walking through the door, and he's got a little talk sign or whatever in front of him. And I'm like, oh, is this some guy just wandering around? Like, so I walk up to him and I realize, no, this isn't an NPC. This is another character, like another guy who wants to join. And so that dude started following me around. So eventually I just ended up like running away from him. I was like, I want to play with you. I'm here on my own. I hope you die. Yeah. Like, I don't know that that's supposed to be what I'm doing, but I totally was just like, get away from me. You're spoiling my shit. I just took off running.
Yeah, the game is always online, but you can switch it to just friends and things like that. There's modes where you can make it so not anybody can jump into your game. Okay. But you'll notice when you're playing that it'll say like so-and-so is nearby.
Yeah. And press the left side button to join in or whatever, but I never do that.
Yeah. Yeah, somebody probably just did that with you because they were...
it was just so weird, man. I was just like, well, no, you're a human. Why are you human? What are you doing here? Get away from me. Stop following me. Stop stealing money. That's my money.
The weird part is I've never gotten as far in the game as... Because I played it a bunch, but I've never gotten to any guns yet. And so it's weird when you play with somebody and they like show up and they've got a gat and they just like whip it out and start popping zombies. And you're just like, whoa.
Which just seems insane to me. If this was in America, I feel like every other home you'd go into would have a gun. You know what I mean?
I think that's the point, too. I mean, even when you find a gun, apparently there aren't that many bullets around because it's a resort. So I think there's certain places where you can find a gun, but you kind of want to be a little bit thrifty with your ammo.
Sure.
But if you've just been playing the game and grinding all over the place, I bet you'd find a lot of ammo and you can just kind of hold on to it.
What I just now figured out some of the fast travel places to go from one place to the other without having to like walk or drive all the way. Like I feel like a little newborn every time I play these games that you recommend to me because I'm like, oh, I can do this now, and I've just discovered my feet, and like it's ridiculous.
Yeah, that game's a little buggy too. So I run into a lot of little weird problems every now and then. Like one of the funny bugs. It's not like a huge bug, but every time you start the game, or every time you fast travel, you're usually at a base and the leader of the base will start delivering his spiel to you again like you've never heard it before.
Yeah, and you're like, you've told me this the last 8 times I was here, let's relax.
Yeah, exactly. I actually had a glitch in mine too where I just died for no reason.
Oh.
Like I just finished a mission, I was all happy, and I was going back to the base to get my reward, and I'm walking back, I'm in the base, gates are closed, and I'm just like walking back in, and all of a sudden just, and I die. It was just like, what?
Makes sense to me, man. Makes sense to me.
Yeah, I was kind of pissed. So I killed a bunch of zombies and stuff.
Do you need to go back to a base to save a game, or can you just quit from anywhere?
When there's certain spots where the game will autosave. If you complete a mission, then it'll autosave. So whenever you go talk to somebody after you've completed a mission, it saves right then. Oh, so that's kind of what I was doing. I was just trying to get to a person and tell them, hey, I did that thing you wanted.
And then,
yeah. And what's sad is I didn't just go do his mission. I went and did the mission, and then I wandered around and I did a bunch of stuff, found some weapons, killed a bunch of the big brutes, the bruisers, and I was all happy, Actually, it was the mission where you get the Molotov cocktails for the guy.
Ooh, nice.
So I'd just gotten a bunch of those. I'd walked around the island and found a bunch of bottles and stuff. So, yeah, it's bummed out.
Sorry, dude.
It's all right.
Well, we got to get online sometime and play. I would love to do that.
Absolutely.
Sweet. What about you? What you been up to?
So, finally, after a couple of shows of me not seeing much or remembering what movies I've been watching, I finally had time to watch a ton of movies, but there's only 2 I'm going to talk about tonight. The first one I want to talk about is a little indie film I watched called Boy Wonder.
So what do you think?
I think a drug dealer got popped and he's dead. Nobody saw nothing, and we got no murder weapon.
Both victims killed somebody and got away with it.
Oh, come on. Revenge killings?
Maybe. I need some answers about Sean.
Leave him alone.
I can't do that anymore.
I'm getting a second chance because of him.
Get in the car! Joe!
I'm not going to help you arrest this guy.
It's available on Netflix and Amazon Prime, and I actually watched it on Amazon Prime. It's a vigilante film, similar to something like The Brave One with Jodie Foster, or a movie like that where, someone's had some wrongdoing done to them and they decide to take the law into their own hands. So this movie is about a boy who witnessed his mother killed in front of him when he was a child. And he grows up with all this anger, and at some point he decides to, go out at night as his vigilante. He puts on his hoodie and gets some weapons and stuff and goes and starts kicking some ass. It's kind of fun movie. Interesting story. The acting was all pretty good. You can tell it's a low-budget movie. There's just signs of that. But overall, I think it was well shot. Well-paced. I'd say all of the world building and all that stuff was really tight for an indie film. I guess my only gripes with it is that I feel like the synopsis sold it as a vigilante movie, and this movie kind of, as it's starting, he's just getting started at doing this. So like Batman, he goes out in his very first fight and kind of gets his ass kicked a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit of kick-ass.
Yeah, a little bit of that. A little bit closer to a more serious kick-ass. But as the movie goes on, there's details that come out and little twists and things like that are kind of fun with the movie. So, it was overall pretty good watch. I'd say if we're going by our scale, I'd say it's definitely a stream it. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, I think I streamed it 7 or 8 months ago, something like that. It's been a while, but I thought the same thing. I thought the production quality was good. The acting was solid. It was darker than I thought it was going to be. I anticipated a pretty, a dark-ish movie, but, lots of unanswered questions at the end. It just ended on kind of an interesting note as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You usually think someone's going to get justice or something like that, and it kind of did, but kind of didn't at the same time. So
right, and it has a very morally gray ending.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. It didn't tell you how to, which is kind of cool. It didn't tell you how to feel about it.
Right.
But at the same time, I'll take Kick-Ass over Boy Wonder. You know what I mean? In the sense of a kind of a fun movie or something that makes me feel decent about the whole process when it's done.
Right. I mean, there's also, the way the movie is marketed, I guess is the best way to put it. I mean, reading the synopsis and looking at the cover of the movie and things like that, it feels a little bit more like Kick-Ass, and it's not quite there. I mean, the cover or the posters for the movie, if you see them, do have him kind of dressed up like he's some kind of superhero. And that's literally one scene in the movie where he kind of tries to disguise himself. And that's the only time it happens, is just that one time. So it's sold as something a little bit more, I don't know, comic booky or something like that. And then they called it Boy Wonder, which is also kind of pandering to a certain crowd. It's not that movie. It's not the kind of superhero movie you might be expecting, like a Kick-Ass or something like that. It's definitely a more serious movie. I'd say definitely closer to the Brave one with Jodie Foster.
Yeah. But still, I agree with you. Definitely worth a stream for what it was. I was impressed with it.
Yeah, definitely. The kid, the star of the movie, I forget the kid's name. He was pretty awesome. Did a really good job.
Caleb Steinmeier, and it doesn't look like he's really been in anything else.
Yeah. So did a great job.
Well, I've also been watching a little indie series you may have heard of called Fast and the Furious.
This just went from Mission Impossible to Mission of freaking Sanity.
Stick to the plan. If you're gonna survive, stop thinking like a cop. You're in my world now. We'll do one last job, and then we disappear forever.
Production budget.
Yeah, I was looking at the show notes. I was like, wait, what are you talking about?
Small production budget.
Oh, yeah.
Very unknown actor. No, just kidding, man. Fast and the Furious. Holy crap, dude, blew my friggin' mind.
Right?
No lie. Like, call me a weirdo if you're listening to this, folks, and you can't believe that Jamel was right about Fast and the Furious. Those movies kick some serious ass. My wife, a chick, was watching those movies with me with just as much rapt attention as I did. And at the end, we were both like, oh, that's pretty damn good. Like, we're just so satisfied. I rescind my former statements. Here, I'm going to show you all of your Blu-rays. So we did not watch number 2 again because we both admitted it was kind of Wait, no, that's not what I'm holding up. Number 2. We did not watch number 2 again. Janelle and I both had kind of mixed feelings about it.
Right.
We did not watch Tokyo Drift, but I loved all of the references to the guy in the movie, the Asian guy in the movie. Mm-hmm. I thought that was awesome. Do you recommend I watch Tokyo Drift?
Dude, I can't believe you didn't watch Tokyo Drift. You gotta watch Tokyo Drift.
Done. I will.
You know what's great about Tokyo Drift?
Janelle and I will watch it this weekend, and we will enjoy it.
Yeah, especially it's going to be a little bit harder considering you watch the other ones because it's a really good transition movie because since you watch the movies, you kind of know the movies were one thing. They were this movie about racing, and then they basically morph into these heist films by the end. What
can you do with cars other than driving fast? Right.
And so Tokyo Drift was the movie that transitions from one to the other, and it has a little bit closer tone to Fast and Furious 2, but like it's really fun, but it kind of stands apart as kind of this weird, really fun story, and it has parallels to Footloose, oddly enough. I know,
right?
The
fish out of water kind of story?
Yeah, totally. The fish out of water. I mean, it's about a kid who does a lot of racing. He gets into a lot of trouble, and his mom sends him off to live with his dad at a military base in Tokyo. So he goes there, and he kind of just gets into the drifting scene, which is really great. And then you got the character who plays the character Han, who's in the other movies following this movie, is who he meets, and he kind of teaches him how to drive. So it's kind of cool to see that all kind of come together. And this is the first movie that Justin Lin directed of the series.
Oh, so
this is where he stepped into the series and he started changing the direction of it. And then the next one, he brought back Paul Walker and Vin Diesel.
I'll do it, man. We'll watch it this weekend. I'll look forward to that. But for some reason, I just thought it wasn't going to be as good as the others, so we didn't even try it. But I'll give it a shot.
Dude.
Thank you. Yeah, so for anybody listening, if you're like me and just thought Jamel was off his rocker, just thought he was talking crazy, fucking watch these movies. I can't say it any differently. Like, I am so pleasantly surprised that we watch them. I mean, obviously there's some ridiculous stuff.
Of course, yeah.
But at the same time, the acting was pretty solid. The storyline could have used some work in some areas, but when you're having that much fun, who gives a crap?
Right.
You know what I mean?
This is how you make, like, you hear people say all the time when they tell you to go watch a movie and they say, well, you know, it's just a really fun movie. You just turn off your brain and you go to the theater. Like, most movies don't really live up to even that. Right. You know, they'll tell you, you just turn off your brain and watch it and you'll have fun. Most movies, though, they don't get so freaking bananas that you can actually shut off your brain. And I think that's where Fast and Furious wins. It's like the movies get so bananas that your brain just shuts down by itself. You don't even have to tell your brain to, like, you know, shut down. It's just I can think of at least 3 or 4 scenes from each of the movies, the big set pieces, the big car moments that you're talking about from each of the different movies. And you're 100% right. Like, they steal cars. They steal cars off of a fucking train. That's moving.
Well, that whole scene where Paul Walker's like hanging on to the platform and the bridge is coming, like the whole time I was just mouth open like a freaking monkey man, just like, yeah. It was seriously, people watch these movies. Trust in Jamel. I did not, and I'm a sadder person for it. I've waited this long, but I got to tell you, dude, we need to go see 6.
Yeah.
I need to be in a theater watching 6. I may have to figure out a babysitter so Janelle can come with us and watch that movie. She might kill me if I try to go alone now. They're solid movies, man. Thank you for recommending them and letting me borrow them.
Absolutely. That's what I'm here for, baby.
What about you? What else?
All right. So I got out to the theater and got to see a movie that's not available on streaming yet. And it's a movie that I'm sure you're probably excited about seeing pretty soon here. That is Man of Steel.
You will give the people of Earth an ideal to strive towards. They will race behind you. They will stumble. They will fall. But in time, they will join you in the sun. In time, you will help them accomplish wonders.
Man of Steel.
Zack Snyder's big debut with a DC superhero flick. And I guess technically no, because I guess Watchmen's technically a DC thing. So, yeah. But yeah, anyway. Man of Steel. It was pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah?
Yeah, I really, really, really enjoyed that film. And it's funny because I was hoping you'd seen it. I kind of expected you'd seen it and kind of surprised you hadn't. Because
we've had a rough couple of weeks here, sadly, between Janelle being sick, me getting hurt, like just a lot of family stuff going on too. And I've wanted to make it out to the theater and just have not been able to. But it's been killing me. I've been trying to stay spoiler free. I've seen some spoilers. But overall, I feel like I'm still pretty virginized when it comes to Man of Steel.
Yeah. So apparently this movie is very, very divisive. After I walked out of that theater, that was something I wasn't expecting. But, you know, listening to the buzz online, it's like half of the people who see it absolutely love it, like me, and half of the people just hate it and thought it was boring, which just completely blows me away. Because I feel like on every level, the movie delivered. I feel like the script was super solid. They did some incredible things with the way they structured the film, especially being that they're going to do an origin story again. They found really clever ways to structure an origin story so that you're not bored, and it's not
the first half an hour of learning about how he became Superman.
Basically, I mean, they found a way to get past all of that boring stuff.
That's awesome.
And kind of zoom right by it. I mean, it's not quite All-Star Superman. Zoom right by it, yeah. It's not quite All-Star Superman, which is probably my favorite origin story of any Superman movie. You know, it's like brave scientist, dying planet, loving couple, Superman. That's like the first couple pages of All-Star Superman, which that's the best origin story ever for a Superman anything, because most of us know the story. But they did find a really interesting way to reintroduce Superman and all of the pieces of the story you already know, to kind of just reestablish all that stuff without making it so mind-numbingly boring, like they did in Amazing Spider-Man and other movies when they try to go back to that. So, yeah, I thought it was very cool. I really, really, really enjoyed it. I guess it doesn't really fit in our scale because it's not streaming, so I will say buy it. And by it, I mean tickets to the movie to go see it.
Nice. I need to. I definitely need to. I got some gift cards for my birthday, and I need to make time to go see this movie.
Yeah, it was Legend. Wait for it. Dairy Pictures that made that film. Like that. Yeah.
That's me clapping, dude. That was awesome. I was like, wait, how is it going to be?
That's
You're
right,
clever.
baby.
You're
That's
very
right.
clever, Singleton, right there. Well, nice. Now, even more so, I want to go see it.
All right. I guess that's it for Press Rewind. Are you ready to get into the main event?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. This week on the main event, we have End of Watch. Directed and written by David Ayer, starring Jake Gyllenhaal, Michael Pena, Anna Kendrick, and Natalie Martinez.
We were basic patrol here, Newton. One of the toughest divisions in the LAPD.
Take pride in what you do, you guys. Yes, sir.
I got him. Try to run. Pit him, man. Pit him.
You know, I see you guys out here being good little company, man. It's all fun and games. We get to run and jump and fight and shoot.
I'm down with that.
Watch your six.
Everybody here is family.
You know I love you, man. I would lay down my life for you, dude.
Hey, partner, what's up?
I want to have a daughter, man. That'd be so cool. Just don't let her date cops. She's not dating anyone. Okay. Ever.
105 North Avenue, 52.
Third Section 13, Roger.
What are we looking for again? Dope, money, and guns.
¿Hablas inglés o español?
Good! You good, partner?
I'm good.
What? You got more bling than the old lady's wedding ring. That guy is into something. You're not a detective. Follow me into the house.
Policía!
Oh, my God.
All right, so, Joe, thoughts on End of Watch?
Without spoiling anything, this movie was fan-friggin-tastic. Damn. I mean, it hit me like a ton of bricks. Probably every 20 minutes, something happened where I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Whether it's the opening where you're getting inside the mind of a cop, whether it's the two cops together and seeing their bond, their brotherhood, seeing the rest of the cops with them and the family that comes with being cops, the interpersonal relationships with wives and friends and things like that, like just amazing. Just amazing. I can't think of many other words to describe it that don't start with A. Awesome, amazing, impressive, just very impressive. I really didn't do much research going into the movie. I knew it was a movie about cops. I knew that it was kind of told from like little small handheld cameras and cell phone quality, like that kind of a movie, kind of found footage style-ish. But I was not prepared for the solid story, solid acting, the action, like gripping your seat kind of action, the ups and downs of the movie, and just all the moments in between, man. Holy crap. I'm going to start off by saying, at the very least, stream this movie. I don't think I'll buy it because I don't think I can handle that kind of drama over and over and over again. But for how they shot it, the cleverness of using all the different devices and the performances, man, it was seriously a stream it. Like, you need to stream it today if you haven't streamed it already. It is awesome.
I think I'm going to mostly agree with what you said.
Please disagree if you need to, but you better back it up.
All right. So, you know what's funny? I think opposite of you, I think the sort of found footage elements of the film weaken the film. I feel like if they would have just shot it traditionally, I think it would have been a lot stronger, because I think the writing is incredibly solid. There are, only a couple gripes I have with the writing, and I'll have to get into spoilers for those. But they're fairly minor, and I feel like it's probably something that got cut out of the movie that would have made some of the transition of where things got a little weird fit a little bit better. The way they do the found footage thing, I feel like, I guess the best way to explain it is to talk about other movies, which I kind of hate to do in reviews, but the movie Chronicle is a really great found footage movie. And they really, really commit to the idea of found footage, and they find ways to always have a camera pointing at the action and telling the story. I mean, they just found incredible ways to always make that work.
Now, I know exactly what you're talking about. There were several times in the movie where I kept thinking, where is that camera coming from? How did we suddenly get inside the house of the person that we're trying to go see when the two cops are outside and there's nobody inside the house with the camera? Like, how did this happen? But it took me out of the movie for like a second or a second and a half, and then whatever was going on the screen was so interesting, I was right back in it, and I could care less.
Right, and I agree with that, but that's the problem. There were a lot of seconds throughout the movie where it kept taking me out, because at times they start shooting it just like like you traditionally shoot a film like this.
Oh yeah.
And then they all of a sudden jump to a camera. Like the two main characters are wearing these cameras on their pockets, and those were the most jarring, that pull you out of it, because they will go from a traditional shot where the camera is a third person following the action around to one of those pocket cameras, which is becomes like this first person view all of a sudden. And that was the thing that bugged me. It didn't destroy the movie for me, but
from a technical standpoint,
it just kept pulling me out. I mean, I think this movie is incredibly engaging, and I think it's a failure of the director to keep pulling people out of it like that.
So if they just shot it traditionally, you could have avoided a lot of those issues.
And, well, like you said, man, every 20 minutes, something big happened. Yeah. And you're just at the edge of your seat. And I feel like those moments would have had so much more impact if, for seconds at a time, I wasn't getting pulled out because of something they did weird with the cameras, And, there's shots, I don't know, there's just choices about how he'd go from the handheld cameras to
I know
traditional
exactly
cameras.
What you mean about
it's
commitment. Yeah,
I feel like if you're going to do that, you really got to commit to the idea, or make it just this kind of gimmick that you're doing just here and there. But,
sometimes, but not most of the time. Sure.
Yeah, I mean, he went 50-50 on it, and I feel like that kind of made the movie weaker than it could have been. But outside, I mean, the movie's great. The writing is great. The acting's great. The sort of realism that they brought to the day-to-day life of police officers, and just the kind of day in, day out kind of crap they have to deal with, like writing reports and sitting in their watch meetings in the morning and things like that. Like, all of that was really cool. I love.
Do you feel like if cops really have to go through that every day? Like, I just feel like we should, every time we see them, we should just hug them and give them like $100.
Yeah, I mean, especially LAPD.
Oh,
I mean, and I thought that's what made it authentic, because they really captured just how shitty parts of LA are. And
they said their district, or where their territory was the worst. That they saw more action. They saw more action and arrests than most cops would see even in their career.
Yeah, I'm absolutely. And some of the things they ran across, they didn't necessarily tie directly into the main storyline or the main story that they were trying to tell, but it just added to the kind of texture of the storyline, and
some of the scenes showed you a little bit more about the cops themselves too.
Yeah,
their reactions to certain things, or what they would or wouldn't let slide.
Yeah, they go on a random bust, a random bust, and they find something just absolutely terrible, and it has nothing to do with anything except for letting you understand a little bit better the kind of stuff they deal with every day.
What's really sad about that is, if we'll talk a little bit more about those scenes in the spoilers, but if some of the stuff, well, some of the stuff is happening. We saw something a month ago about a guy, Ariel Castro, who kept 3 women locked up in his house for 10 years. One of the girls had a baby, or several. He punched a girl so many times, like while she was pregnant. She miscarried like 5 times. I mean, just horrible, horrible stuff. in this movie, what I noticed was some of the scenes where they're doing character building, like we were talking about, routine stop or routine bus turns into something really, really strange, but it's character defining. It's also world defining to me. Like if this was like a fantasy movie, you'd get to know a little bit more about the world and the universe the movie is set in by these kind of side stories that don't really necessarily pertain to the main story.
Right.
What's sad to me is that it makes me feel like our world is so much darker than it is. You know what I mean? Like if the real world was the fantasy world, like I would not want to visit there. And I'm like, holy shit, I live there. Like, you know what I mean? It's sad, man. It's sad. It paints I feel like it's one of the first movies in a while. And I'm talking about like, you know, like maybe like a the movie Traffic, or what was that Jeremy Renner Iraq War movie? The Hurt Locker. Yeah. Or Black Hawk Down. Like those really realistic movies that make you kind of ponder, like, holy crap, like people really put themselves through some of this stuff.
Yeah, I haven't seen an LA cop movie that felt this authentic since, you know, I have to go really way back, but Robert Duvall, Sean Penn, and Colors.
Sure.
Way back in the day in the 80s.
90s, right? Early 90s?
Was it early 90s? I thought it was like late 80s.
Oh, geez,
yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, you're talking way, way, way back, but this movie had that kind of feel.
You're right, 1988.
Yeah, it had a very similar feel to this.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about the directors, the actors.
Yeah. So
directed by Gus Van Sant, right?
No.
Wait, what? No? Oh, geez, David Ayer.
David
I'm sorry,
Ayer.
I'm looking at something else. I'm like, Gus Van Sant.
Wait, where'd you get Gus Van Sant from?
Sorry, that's Good Will Hunting. I apologize. That's close, right? That's not close at all, actually. We'll just edit that out. David Ayer, who also did Training Day. He did the screenplay, I guess, for the Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, he wrote Training Day, The Fast and Furious, U-571, which I enjoy quite a bit. SWAT, Dark Blue. A lot of movies I've seen. I haven't seen Harsh Times. The only thing I know about Harsh Times is that when Christian Bale got famous, this movie came out of the woodwork. And it was apparently shot, 5 years before Dark Knight or something like that.
Before he got big, yeah.
Yeah. And directing wise, he did Harsh Times and Street Kings before this. And I've heard good things about Street Kings. Again, Harsh Times. I've only had one person recommend that movie, and he wasn't necessarily a good judge.
Wasn't reputable?
No. I wouldn't stand by his recommendation.
Well, the movie stars Jake Gyllenhaal, Michael Pena, Anna Kendrick, Natalie Martinez, a bunch of other side characters who I recognize from other movies.
Yeah, America Ferrera.
Yeah, dude, looking like a badass in this movie.
Yeah, she was pretty amazing. I almost didn't recognize her. I kept asking myself, is that her? And then, I waited till the credits came up and confirmed it was her. But man, yeah. A very, very different role for her, playing a tough street cop. Her partner, that actress is...
Cody Horn?
Yeah, Cody Horn, who's been around in a few movies here and there. I think she was in Magic Mike.
She was in Magic Mike. I'm looking at her right now. She was on The Office for a little while.
That's where she's from. Rescue Me is actually, I remember her from that show.
I remember her as a love interest, I think, for Jim for a little while on The Office.
Yeah.
Frank Grillo, who is in the movie The Grey with Liam Neeson, is in this movie as well. He plays like their captain, I think.
Yeah, a great role, played really well. He had one really weird monologue in the movie. I have no idea what that was about, but...
Yeah, I thought that was a little interesting.
Yeah. I felt more like the director was like, man, I got Frank Grillo and I gave him this part. We need to have him...
I gotta give him something.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a lot of a well-done cast, I guess, of some people who I wouldn't even anticipate, like Anna Kendrick in this kind of a movie.
Yeah,
I would never have anticipated that.
Yeah, and, she did really well for what she had. They didn't give her much to do. but I thought she did really well. I think for me, the big winners are Michael Pena and Natalie Martinez, who had really great chemistry as husband and wife.
Oh, yeah.
And both of them...
you didn't even see her for the first half of the movie.
Yeah. And
he keeps talking about his wife.
Yeah, and then when you meet her, you're like, yeah, she is awesome. He said she's awesome. She's awesome.
Yeah.
So, really, really great character work from everybody. Jake Gyllenhaal, I thought he was really strong as well. I feel like I feel like there was something missing, and not necessarily from him as an actor, but I think more so I would have liked a little bit more time with him. It felt like they were defining his character with dialogue rather than showing you.
100%. I agree 100%. There were some moments where he talks about what he wants his career path to be, and it seems like it's out of left field. Like, you're like, really? Like, I guess I could kind of see that. He's very inquisitive, but at the same time, like, if they had built it up just a little bit more, it would have made more sense for some of the actions that he does take, because he talks about stuff a little bit, but I agree with you. They don't really show it until they start to show it, and then you're kind of like, wait, where did this come from?
Right. And there's a scene where Michael Pena is basically, I mean, he's almost just telling the camera, Jake Gyllenhaal's character is a womanizer, apparently. But they never show him with any women except for the one he ends up staying with. But yeah, he's just trying to say, yeah, you're a womanizer. We all know you're a womanizer, kind of thing. And it's this weird moment where it's like, it'd be great to show him going out on dates or hear him talk more about going on dates.
Well, the only time they ever do anything is when, I don't want to spoil it, but Anna Kendrick's character finds a little note, essentially, with all these girls' names on it.
Right.
But again, like, we need more than that. We can't just, if that would have been shown early on or something like that, but.
Don't tell me what kind of person he is. Show me.
Show me what kind of person. Exactly. But again, like, even those small little nitpicky things, if they came up, I was like, huh? And then I'm right back into whatever the plot is, whatever action is happening, whatever character moment we're having.
Right. And what's funny is I didn't have those feelings. I think the script later in the movie gives me those feelings because I think at some point he felt like he needed to give people that. It's like, I need to flesh this character out, but I have nowhere to do it on camera. So I'm going to put these lines in. I think by him actually putting that dialogue in to explain who this character is, he drew attention to the fact that they weren't showing you who this character is, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I agree.
So, anyway, I mean, it's, again, the problems with this movie all end up being just little nitpicky stuff, but I feel it's just, more than anything, it's probably just little problems with direction, and looking at his IMDb as we just did, we can tell he hasn't directed a lot. So
a lot of bigger projects, yeah.
Yeah, I imagine at some point he will, be a really, really great director, because I think he did a pretty fantastic job in this movie, minus the few nitpicks we're talking about right now.
Yeah, I'm interested in the next two films he's got coming out. They also sound similar to what we're talking about here. Fury and actually, he may have only just done let me check. No, it looks like he's also doing a direction for Fury and Sabotage are the two new movies he's got. I'm interested to see. I mean, I think, so Fury, a crew of Americans in Nazi Germany toward the end of World War II embark on a brave mission. Americans fighting against the Nazis. I'm in. Sabotage, an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. Members of the lead.
The cast of that movie is, I don't see how he could mess that up. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got Morel Enos from The Killing, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sam Worthington, Josh Holloway, Terrence Howard, Olivia Williams,
come on.
Harold Perrineau. I mean, it's the Lost reunion happening in this movie.
Happening on screen, people.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one, along with Fury. So. Yeah, we may be looking at someone who's going to be a pretty great director soon.
Well, and I was going to say, like, the reason I was bringing him up is that he might be the guy to watch for gritty, good action movies in the next, 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, and dialogue. I mean, the writing was super strong in this movie.
I agree.
So
believable dialogue too. I wonder how much of the banter between the two cops was written or was unscripted.
I feel like it had to be written. It was too strong. Like the incidental dialogue was just too strong.
And if that's the case, man, he is a fantastic writer. Then I thought he was good anyway. But if he's writing even some of those asides that the characters had, that's just flipping awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. No, man,
All
I'm in
right.
my chonies. I'm in my chonies. No.
What's the chony? Her panties, man. Oh, right.
Yeah. So let's kind of just give our final thoughts and a quick little overall what we'd rate this movie before we get into spoilers.
Awesome. Well, first of all, I think we both used Netflix, yeah?
Yep, Netflix for me too.
Netflix.
Quality was super, super great. Super clear picture. It looked like a Blu-ray. It was great. I've been playing with we talked a little bit about the Super HD thing.
Yeah.
And I found that it's, as far as I can tell, it's only on Roku. I haven't seen it show up on my PlayStation 3, which I usually watch Netflix movies on, but the movies have been looking clearer on that on my PS3 as well, but the Super HD that's really, really great.
That's where it's at? Nice, yeah. Dude. Nice.
That looks really great.
My projector only goes so high, so even Blu-rays, I can only get so much out of them. But yeah, I agree. The quality was really nice.
Yeah.
And there were some good quiet moments and some good loud moments. And I did not find myself having to like turn down the volume really quick or turn up the volume. Like it was all pretty decently audio edited. I felt like everything was solid with that.
Yeah, the mix was really great.
Yeah.
You don't get that too often with movies. It's usually all over the map. But yeah, the really, really great mix. And this is a movie with some pretty loud scenes and some very quiet scenes. And yeah. I also never really grabbed the remote for anything. And the kids were in the house. They were upstairs. So, I was kind of on guard waiting to have to turn it down, and I never really had to.
Nice. Well, it's definitely not a kid's movie. Oh, yeah. I would assume it's an R-rated movie.
Absolutely. No doubt.
There's no sex or things like that, but there's a crap ton of violence and a lot of cursing.
Lots of drug references.
Yeah. If you're not averse to good action, violent deaths, some brutal moments, like this is a fantastic choice. I'm definitely a stream it.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely stream it. Wouldn't say buy it because. Without getting into spoilers, I say there's some tough scenes in this movie to watch, and I don't know that it's a movie that I'd want to watch again. I do want to watch it again at some point, but it's not a movie that I would go back to over and over again.
Yeah. I feel like there are some scenes I would like to check out again. I don't know about the whole movie. It's draining emotionally.
Yeah, definitely.
Did we cover the plot or the highlights that we've got in here?
Well, I can read the plot from IMDb.
You just got a great-looking plot, man.
So, the end of Watch follows the daily grind of two young police officers in L.A. who are partners and friends, and what happens when they meet criminal forces greater than themselves.
And the highlights, Jamel included the first lines of the movie, which are just awesome.
Yeah. You want to read that?
Sure. Hell yeah. I am the police, and I'm here to arrest you. You've broken the law. I did not write the law. I may disagree with the law, but I will enforce it. No matter how you plead, cajole, beg, or attempt to stir my sympathy, nothing you do will stop me from placing you in a steel cage with gray bars. If you run away, I will chase you. If you fight me, I will fight back. If you shoot at me, I will shoot back. By law, I am unable to walk away. I am a consequence. I am the unpaid bill. I am fate with a badge and a gun. Behind my badge is a heart like yours. I bleed, I think, I love, and yes, I can be killed. And although I am but one man, I have thousands of brothers and sisters who are the same as me. They will lay down their lives for me and I them. We stand watch together. The thin blue line, protecting the prey from the predators, the good from the bad. We are the police. And with that, the movie kicks into high gear, and
that's the hook. The thing about that dialogue is it's given during a high-speed car chase, which is playing in slow motion before your eyes. And most movies, they take you like 10, 15 minutes to get to the hook.
Yeah.
This movie immediately hooks you with that narration. It's really, really well written and well done by Jake Gyllenhaal.
Well, and honestly, it is the heart of the movie.
Yeah.
If you pay attention to this, like, it is the total heart of the movie. Everything they say in this opening dialogue is exactly what you're about to see over the next hour and a half.
And it's exactly this type of stuff I'm going to be saying to people when they piss me off. Like, bitch, I'm the unpaid bill.
I'm consequence. I'm fate with a badge and a gun. No matter how you plead, cajole, beg, or attempt to stir my sympathy. Yeah, it's very well done. Written and acted by Jake Gyllenhaal. Both are very good.
Yeah, fantastic. So yeah, as we said, we're both streammates and both enjoyed that film quite a bit. So if you have not seen it, please stop the podcast now and go watch it and or buy it if you feel the need to do so. But for now, we're going to dip into spoilers. Ready to spoilers, Joe?
Sorry. For those of you listening at home, I just made a crude gesture.
Joe's throwing up gang signs.
I'm Teddy Westside, dude. Isn't that from How I Met Your Mother?
Yeah.
Teddy Westside. Not really.
Mr. Darcy is a nice bloke. They get together in the end. Rosebud is a sled, and Harvey the rabbit's not pretend. Bruce is a ghost in the Sixth Sense. The family in the others are too. That's your wife's head in a box, Brad. So wish John Doe adieu. What's in the box? What's in the box? Dumbledore dies, Trinity dies, Norman Bates is his mother, he's in a disguise. Snoop dies, Omar dies, and no one really understands Mulholland Drive. It's true, we're gonna spoil it for you. It's true, yeah, it's true, we're gonna spoil it for you.
Holy good Lord! This movie seriously was friggin' awesome, dude. From the loud scenes, like you talked about, like opening with the car chase and him going, get him, and like they're right on the guy's ass as they're going through these alleyways and across streets where cars are honking and whatnot, to the quiet moments when they're at the quinceañera. One of your fucking family is always having a quinceañera. Your sister, your cousin, somebody. Oh, speaking of which, my cousin's having a quinceañera. When they're sitting there and the Michael Pena's wife is sitting there talking about what he likes in bed, and he's going, "Baby, stop, baby, no." Yeah. And she's like, "He loves it when I do this. No." Like,
it's like, yeah, you gotta take care of your man. You gotta, make sure he has lots of sex because there's bad bunnies out there. He's like, so you gotta be a freak.
She just keeps going about all the weird, nasty stuff he likes in bed, and he's trying to, no, baby, stop, trying to cover her mouth, and she just keeps going.
Yeah.
But from the car chase and the shootouts to those moments as well, like this movie covers the I'm laughing and then I'm almost crying moments, and there's a lot of them, man. There's a lot of laughter. The banter between Michael Pena and Jake Gyllenhaal's character is awesome. Mm-hmm. The way they're always riffing off each other and ribbing each other is fantastic. And the action scenes, holy shit. Like some of the stuff, the young cop, the boot, getting her face like destroyed.
Bashed in. Well, even before that scene, like when you see the other cop, I forget his name, was giving him shit the whole movie.
Yeah. The jackass cop.
Van Houser. Yeah, when they walk up to him, it took me a second. That was like a double take.
To realize what was happening?
Yeah, it was like, is that a fucking knife in his eye?
A knife stabbed into the hilt into this guy's eye socket.
And he's still up talking to them.
He's still telling them, watch your left. You got guys up there. The boot's up there somewhere. Go find her. Like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that got me, man. Because all I kept thinking about was, oh my God, like that guy just got like a lobotomy or something. Like he's not going to be normal again.
Yeah.
And once again, it was like, if this is the world we live in, man, it is the world we live in. Like, I have no doubt in my mind that's happened to somebody sometime at least once,
See, So there's a couple of scenes in this movie that to get into kind of some of the things that were bugging me about the movie.
Yeah.
That whole thing, the way that went down, that bugged me a little bit because they said they basically were inferring that it was the rookie's fault that any of that happened. But they never gave any explanation as to what the hell happened. You know? It's like, what did she do?
Yeah,
why did
it's
he
almost
only
like the
stab...
cops understand it, but we don't understand it.
Right, like, why did the guy stab this cop in the eye and then drag her off into an alley and bash her face in?
Right. And why are they all saying clearly it's the Rook's fault, or, you know what I mean?
Right, it's almost like they understand everything that happened. Like, oh yeah, we just, everybody's explaining exactly what happened, and then the cameras happened to move in right after that was over. So as the audience, you're kind of left in the dark. It's like, what did the rookie do to piss that guy off so much?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it wasn't like he was just crazy, because as soon as they came up with the gun and they were like, freeze, put your hands behind your back, he totally did it.
Yeah.
So that was a little weird. There's one other thing, but I'm going to wait a little bit to talk about that really bugged me, to see what you got on your plate.
There's the scene there's two scenes. Two scenes where I feel like, three scenes. I'll just say them all. Start from finish. So there's a scene in the beginning where they go into this guy's, I don't know if he's a drug dealer. I can't really remember why they're there. But they go into this guy's apartment, and the guy is just talking some serious shit. Like, you're just a badge and a gun. Like, what happens when you don't have that badge and the gun?
Oh, yeah. So that guy was harassing the mailman.
Oh, that's what it was. They say that in the course of it. That's right. Yeah. He was harassing the mailman. Why you got to go out there? Why you got to go out there and give him shit? So the smaller Latino guy, Michael Pena's character, says, like, now you're dissing me, man. You want to go? You want to go? And he takes off his badge. He takes off his gun, hands it to Jake Gyllenhaal's character. And he and this big guy, like, go at it.
Right.
And that scene in itself, I thought was pretty badass. The reaction that whoever he is, that crazy guy, not a crazy guy, the guy chasing down the mailman, essentially, or giving crap to the mailman, how honorable he is about the whole incident. Like, he's telling other like homies around his place when they're giving him shit for it. You know, like, you got beat down by a cop, man. And he's saying, like, no, that cop, like, he and I fought. It doesn't matter if you win or lose. It's the fact that you scrapped that makes you gangsta, I think is what he says, or something similar to that. But in my head, all I was thinking was, dude, I hope people have a code like that. Like, that's badass. Like, yeah, we might fight, but the fact that we fought is what matters. Like, we fought it out. We're cool afterward. The cop didn't report me. I'm not in jail. You know, he's an honorable cop. I'm going to be honorable to him. That there might be street gangs and stuff like that would actually have some sort of code. And I thought, again, talking about world building, I thought that was pretty badass.
Absolutely.
I hope that's the kind of world we live in, but I don't know.
Oh yeah, they were kind of nodding to the old school gangster, like the guys who are teaching these young guys, or trying to teach these young gangsters out there. You know, this is how we should be operating.
Right.
So you guys don't need to pick up a gun every time. You know.
Yeah, it's okay to run the
pick
game,
your fist up and fight. You know, be a man. So
I thought that was pretty cool.
I thought that was a great scene. I really loved that scene.
And even throughout the movie, he did not give the cops that much crap going forward. You know, he believed that these two cops at least were worthy of actually speaking to and not speaking down to. You know.
Right. Yeah.
So next scene that really got to me, the two cops go on a call to a house, or it might have been an apartment, where a lady's reported her kids missing.
Right.
And there's some dude on the couch who's unresponsive. Michael Pena is trying to get that guy to wake up. Jake Gyllenhaal is trying to keep the woman occupied, trying to find out what the hell happened to her kids, what's going on. Sometimes kids fall asleep. Maybe they're in the house somewhere. And something is very off about these two people. The woman seems like she's high as shit, like on some kind of speed or something. And the dude just seems like he took heroin because he is out, like he's not waking up.
Right.
They eventually get him up, and the guy is telling him, like, you ain't got no warrant, you can't search this house. Jake Gyllenhaal has some kind of an instinct. You get it, like, he's a thinker, and he starts going through the house, basically trying to look for the kids. And he suddenly comes back into the room with the big guy, and he just starts wailing on the guy, like pushing him down and just being a dick to the guy. And you don't really understand yet what's going on. And then Michael Pena is yelling at him like, hey, partner, stop it. So eventually he stops, he cuffs the guy on the couch. And Michael Pena is like, what the hell's going on? And he says, and Jake Gyllenhaal says, I found the kids. And my first thought was, son of a bitch, man, they killed the kids? Like, what the F? And then the camera goes into a closet, and you see the two kids on the ground, or you see one of the kids on the ground, like bound with friggin' duct tape over his mouth. His hands are bound together. And the worst part, his little sister is friggin' duct taped to her car seat.
Right.
Duct tape around her mouth, duct tape around her body. Like she's duct taped to her damn car seat. And this dude who did it to them is sitting there sleeping on the couch out in the living room. Like it is some messed up shiznit.
Yeah. And your mind can't even figure out what the plan was. Like, what was the plan? What were they going to do?
Why would they do this? What was he thinking?
Yeah.
But again, the world building, dude, it makes me that scene was probably one of the scenes in the movie that made me the most sad. And not necessarily sad for these actors on the screen, but sad that there are people in the world that do this to their children.
Yeah.
And I applaud the movie for doing stuff like this. Like, it was a little shocking, little shock factor, but at the same time, you know this is going on somewhere around the world right now.
Well, there was relief, too, because the way that scene plays out, you don't know, for a little while, you don't know whether the kids are alive, dead, what's going on.
Yeah, that's what I mean. When he said, I found the kids, I thought they were dead.
Yeah. You know, I started having flashbacks to Train Spotting, where they're all high in the house, and, you know, it's been weeks, and they don't even realize how long they've been high, and the baby died a long time ago.
Spoilers for Train Spotting, people.
Yeah, spoilers for Train Spotting. Sorry.
But that scene also just slayed me, man. Just slayed me. As a dad now, the look on those kids' faces when he's like cutting them clean or cutting them out, cutting them free, was friggin' heart-wrenching and heartbreaking, man. Like I as a dad, I could barely take it.
Yeah.
And then the last scene I want to talk about is the scene where they're doing kind of the illegal detective work, the illegal investigation. And they think they're checking out some drug running stuff, a guy who's running a drug house. And then they get inside and they see all these illegal immigrants behind a cage, like sitting there in like underwear. Like they don't even have clothes on. A little bit later, Michael Pena says something like there was a toilet in the room that was just full of crap, like literally full of crap. Like it wouldn't flush and no one had flushed. And knowing, again, living in Arizona and knowing that there are houses here in Arizona that are housing illegal immigrants just makes me so sad for this world, man.
Yeah, human trafficking.
It's horrible. It's just horrible, man. I really hope they get theirs in the end. If it's not here on this world, like I hope that those people that I'm not a perfect person. Like my sense of justice is so screwed up, I'm sure. But I hope to God that those people pay for what they do to other people in this life. Seriously.
So I think it's perfect that you sort of ended on that scene, because that scene is the beginning of my biggest gripe with the movie.
Cool.
My biggest gripe with the movie is the entire plot line that has to do with the cartel, the Mexican cartel, which comes out of nowhere, and then they almost drop it and then randomly pick it up in the most half-ass way I've ever seen.
Tell me more.
So in that same scene, when that scene ends, basically, the feds roll up on them after they find the house, and they're like, hey, man, you guys, the worst actor in the world gets out of the car, and he's like, hey, guys, you guys, stepped on a snake's tail, man. It's going to turn around and bite you guys. You don't even know what you got into. And they're like, what do we get into? And he's like, Mexican cartels, man. We had I'm
going to throw you a bone.
Yeah, we had a POI in this place, and you screwed it all up. And so, we're going to help you out and tell you this so you guys can stay safe, but you need to lay low. And it's funny because this whole concept is in the trailer of the movie, and I felt like it was going to play a bigger role in the movie, but
yeah,
it's pretty much this scene, and then probably the worst, most like tacked on scene I've ever seen, where they have some farmer with night vision, and he's supposedly having a conversation with the cartels, and it's all getting translated with subtitles, and the subtitles look really bad. All of it looks like, somebody just did it on their computer really quick with an editing program.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And the farmer doesn't look gangster in the slightest. I mean, if I bought this movie and looked at the commentary, and the director was like, "Oh yeah, we found some stock footage of this farmer, and we tweaked the visuals and made it look like it was happening in night vision, and it's just some farmer talking on the phone, and then he hands the phone to his daughter, and then we added in, we overlaid some Spanish in it and did some, it was so shitty, and basically it was their roundabout way to have the gangsters that you feel are going to have some stronger role in the movie that you meet earlier in the movie. It was their reason for those gangsters to go after our heroes. And it was completely unnecessary, made no fucking sense whatsoever, and was so badly ham-handedly done. If the movie didn't finish so strong, it would have ruined the movie for me.
I can see that, because I'd forgotten about that scene, but as soon as you were saying, and then the worst scene, I was like, oh shit. I thought the same. It totally felt like they could have written any words at the bottom, like in the text on the screen, and it would have, that would have been the scene. Like somebody afterwards was like, well, we got all that footage of that dude playing with the horses in the barn. What if we just put dialogue over it?
Yeah, it was all connective dialogue too. Like it was the worst kind of exposition, where you're just explaining what's going to happen next. These two cops are giving us so much trouble. We need to get rid of them. How am I going to get rid of them? Well, there are a lot of gangsters in the area. They probably don't like them either.
I totally did not even think about that. And I saw it, and again, one of those things where it was like a 30-second scene. It hit me, and I was like, that's retarded. And I just ignored it, and I kept going on with the movie.
Yeah, a simple scene with our heroes busting one of the guys in that gang would have been plenty.
Would have been enough.
Would have been plenty. Not even busting, maybe just killing one of the guys in a shootout or something. Would have been enough to have those guys go after them and have the movie proceed on the same course it's going anyway. But instead, they bring this whole concept of cartels into it, and then they start trying to tie everything else into it. Like when they go to the house where they're going to check on the old lady who's not cashing her checks or whatever. And they break in the house and they find all the dead bodies and everything. And then
a message from the cartel.
Yeah, there's a message on the wall, and then they turn that back around and say, "Oh no, actually, they don't directly address it." Again, we get exposition. There's a news report, and the news reporter tells us, "Oh, everything in that house, it was the cartels again."
No. Michael Pena says what the Spanish on the wall means. Ha ha ha! They're making fun of us. Like they talk about the cartel, but yeah, I agree. Like you get the in-depth from the reporter on the scene.
Yeah, but it's ha ha ha. But what?
Yeah.
Like what are we supposed to make of that? Like he looks really upset by what he saw, but he never really. I mean, all he does say is ha ha ha, and for a second it feels like there's more there, and he's just not saying. And you're waiting for him to explain it, and then you get the news reporter on the scene, and he says, "Oh, this was the cartels again."
What bothers me is like the next scene, or one of the next scenes, is the same guy from earlier in the movie that Michael Pena fought, the big guy who was had honor, and he they roll up on him or whatever, and he's telling them like, "Hey man, I just want you guys to have this information. I just found this out, but where it is on the street, you've been greenlit. They got a contract out for your head. You better be careful." And both cops are like, "Yeah, we're cops. Everybody wants to kill us." He's like, "No, seriously, like where it is on the street, they're trying to kill you." And they're like, "Oh, okay, yeah, no problem." The idea that this guy, who's clearly at odds with the Mexicans that we've seen, the guys who are gunning for the two cops, because they shot him up at the beginning of the movie. They aimed for all these other guys. Knows this information. How would he get this information?
Oh, out of jail. He says it. He says he got some boys who just got out of prison. And
how would they know? Like clearly there's delineation between the Mexican drug runners and the African American drug runners.
Joe, I don't have time to explain the full hierarchy of the gangsta news wire.
But if you could just tell me, Jamel, I'd really appreciate it. I don't kind of understand.
Don't you watch gangster movies? The guys in jail always know more than everybody. That's why the cops always go to jail. And they like sit behind the glass and they ask some dude who's all tatted up and he's like, he's like, yeah, man, I know everything that's going out on the streets.
No, I'm sorry, Jamel. I'm a cracker-ass cracker. And but that's what I mean. Like, for a movie that was done so well, that kind of set up the war between these two peoples, for them to just like, oh yeah, I got this warning. Y'all better watch out.
It feels like two movies. I feel like the cartel stuff. I think if the cartel stuff never materialized in the movie.
If it had just been the gang at a local level trying to kill these cops?
Yeah, I mean, you had this war between these two gangs, and I feel like that was enough to prompt all the events that lead to the finale of this movie.
Sure.
I mean, he's really lucky that the finale is so fantastic and so well done that it makes it easy to kind of forget all this stuff in the middle that got
like
really
I said,
weird.
I did. I totally forgot some of this stuff.
It gets really muddy, and all of it has to do with the cartel. It's this third party that comes out of nowhere and is completely faceless, Yeah. Except for the two cowboys. And when you meet these two cowboys initially, it starts to feel like there's, this other group that's going to start to appear, but they just disappear. They're just the quote unquote cartel, and they're out there. They're watching.
Yeah.
So that is the one really big thing that bugged me about the movie. That's the one thing that actually kept me from making this a buy it recommendation, is because I felt like I really enjoyed this movie, and I felt at the end like I was really satisfied, but I could see how many people would not be able to let that go.
Yeah.
Because
I can see
the
that.
middle of the movie, that all of those things we were discussing are pretty sloppy. And in a movie that's so tight everywhere else.
Right. They're poor plot transitions, we'll say. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I need this to happen. And you're 100% right, dude. And maybe that's part of the problem with being a writer and a director. You don't really have that second line of defense of someone saying like, oh, this is good, but we really need to tighten this up, or it would be better if we got rid of this,
Yeah.
And I could see that your version probably would be the easier to swallow and probably stronger. We'd get to know the Latino drug people better. We get to know the African American drug people. You know what I mean? Like, if it was a movie between two drug runners fighting each other and the cops are involved because they're the cops, I could see how that would be a stronger overall plot,
Yeah, I mean, it weakens all sides of it. You have this group, these two gangs, and apparently they have beef. We never learn why they have beef. We get to know some of them pretty well, but not nearly as well as we should. And, they're kind of just left out there.
Yeah.
They, for a while, kind of abandoned both parties. And
for like that 20-minute segment I was talking about earlier, we just go away and we come back and we go away and we come back every 20 minutes or so.
Right. And yeah, I don't know.
I could see that.
But yeah, I mean, it's, barring those things, it is a fantastic movie, well written.
And you said it earlier, it's got a really solid ending.
Yeah.
One more thing I wasn't expecting or whatnot, but just so solid. Even Jake Gyllenhaal, his last few words that he says in the movie. Mm-hmm. I know we're in the spoiler section, but I still am hesitant to say what happens at the very end.
Oh, come on, man.
But the last few minutes, or the last few lines of dialogue he has, like, I remember thinking at the time, like, is that it? That's all he can say? That's all he's going to say? But then I remember thinking, like, no, I don't know that I would be able to say anything else either. Like, that's some serious shit.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I mean, if people are wondering what Joe doesn't want to say, the movie is called End of Watch. So we'll just leave it at that.
Let's just say not everybody makes it out of this movie. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah.
But even those scenes, man, were really riveting. Like, once again, like the cops running around trying to find help or whatnot. I remember thinking, like, where the fuck is everybody? Like, where are the helicopters? There's no cell phone? Like, hop more walls. What are you guys doing? Like, run for 2 miles, 3 miles, and then look back. You know what I mean? Like, don't just stop.
Yeah. You know, the pre-credit roll scene where they flash back to before that night.
Thank God they had that, by the way.
Yeah, because it leaves you don't feel as bummed out when the movie's over. But the other thing, too, is I started expecting something. I think the director planted a seed that was kind of bobbing around in my head, and I was waiting for it to be fulfilled. And that's the part where Van Houser, he tells the guys that the LAPD is going to fuck them, basically. Right. And
at some point in the future, you were going to get screwed just like me.
Yeah, and at the end of the movie, that was bouncing around in my head when they're running through that alley, and they keep saying, like, where is everybody, you know?
Yeah.
I'm starting to think, like, you know, what's going on? So then when they did that flashback, I was starting to expect, you know, maybe they did something to really piss off everybody in their crew earlier that day, and then the whole crew just kind of screws them over and doesn't show up, or whatever the case is. Like, I felt like that was a weird piece of dialogue for him to throw in there, because it's so ominous, and I feel like it stays in the back of your mind, and you're kind of waiting for it. Because
what I liked about that was, because I felt the same, like, oh man, have they been abandoned? Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And I feel like had they not had Van Houser and his history not led to that moment where he tells them sometime in the future you're going to get screwed over, you might not have had that, what the fuck, what's going to happen to these guys in your head at the moment it was needed.
Right.
Like, I agree with you. It feels like a throwaway. Not when you find out that that the cavalry does arrive. Mm-hmm. It's such a shock, like, oh yeah, you know what I mean? But I feel like if he hadn't said that, it might not have been a setup for that moment. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't know. I agree with you. It was kind of a throwaway thing, and at the time, I thought it was weird too. Like, are we really going to spend like 15 years with these guys to find out when the department screws them over or whatever?
Oh, yeah. That whole scene too, the way they kind of play off of what he's saying, was just hilarious as well. So I mean, there's some really, really funny and tender moments in this movie that I didn't expect. One of the things that really confused me when Michael Pena is telling Jake Gyllenhaal, "You're a piece of shit," like after his wedding. Right. That's part of what I was saying.
Yeah, earlier. Yeah, you're a piece of shit. You know that, right? You're a piece of shit. And he's like, I know I'm a piece of shit. I'm like, why is he? He's a good guy. Why are you calling him a piece of shit? Like, yeah. In my head, I'm thinking of you and I sitting down to talk to each other, and I'm like, no.
Yeah,
no.
Nothing in this movie has told me that
what has he done to show that he's a piece of shit?
Yeah. Is there some shittiness I missed?
Right. If Jake Gyllenhaal started telling Michael Pena he's a piece of shit too, and they can come to some common acknowledgement that they each have their issues, okay, I can get behind that. But like one guy telling the other, even when he said like, you break her heart and I'll kill you or something like that, to the girl he just met, against his own brother, like, it was just kind of an awkward bit. You know what I mean? But once again, I kept thinking they're both drunk. There's a lot going on. They deal with some high fucking emotion in this job. Like, I get it, you know?
Yeah, the passage of time is a little weird. It's a little hard to gauge. Because I get the feeling that at least a year or more passes during the course of the movie. And probably about a year, 9 months or something like that.
Well, even Wikipedia doesn't know. I was looking at the summary for the movie, and it was talking about like days later, weeks later, sometime later.
Right. Yeah, it's you get the impression that a large chunk of time passes, but the way the movie is shot, you only get that from dialogue. It's hard to tell visually how much time is passing and when time passed. You know, they'll say, we're going on vacation this weekend, or we're going here, or we're doing this. And, you know, you get the impression that happened and they're back and some time has passed since then. So, I don't know. That was a little weird, but it didn't bug me too much. It was just, every now and then I had a moment where I was like, wait,
Yeah,
I think like maybe a week passed or something. Yeah.
How long has this thing been going on? Yeah, the captain at one point tells them how long they've been on a case or how long this thing has been going on. And I was like, oh, shit, I didn't realize. I didn't realize it happened for that long.
Yeah. Because everything feels so compressed.
Yeah.
And so that's, I don't know. It's not something I'm going to gripe too much about, but it would have been nice if they did show a little bit, or if they did depict the passage of time a little bit better, because everything feels so compressed, they feel like superheroes.
Yeah, all this stuff happening.
Yeah, because it feels like, shit is going down every day, and they're just like, they're there. It's always happening right in front of them on their doorstep.
They just got an award for this. They just got this. They just did this. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But overall, man, I was just so impressed. I'm so glad you picked this movie. Seriously.
That's what I do. How did it go? That's what we do, darling. That's what we do. All right. So that was End of Watch. And yeah, like we said before, man, it's a big stream it for both of us. I think generally we're both pretty happy with the movie. It's pretty fun, really, really entertaining. And despite a few nitpicks, I think in spoilers, sometimes we do make the movie sound a little bit worse than they are, but definitely a great movie and really fun to watch. If you're able to get past the things we nitpicked about, I think you'll have a really great time with the movie.
Yeah, and the way that I look at the spoiler section is for people who've already seen it. They can say with us, hopefully, oh, yeah, that's what it was, or I felt the same, or in the case of some of our guys, Josh and Patrick, what are you talking about? You guys are crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
We got to have some kind of an opinion on here. Otherwise, why are you listening to us?
Damn right.
All right. Coming up on our next show.
Yes. So I know I picked the movie last time, but I had to pick the movie this time because next show is going to be episode 10. And we've been talking a long time about what happens when we get to episode 10 and what kind of special show we're going to do to kind of celebrate that. So I started thinking about the choices, and I really came down to one. And there's really only one movie that binds us, that connects us, that is as much a part of our friendship as anything.
It's what started our friendship, for goodness sake.
Yeah. And that movie is 1995. Will Smith, Martin Lawrence, directed by Michael Bay. The movie is Bad Boys.
Frick, yes, dude, yes.
Yes. So it is available on Netflix streaming currently. If you want to watch it and join along with us, I'm still not sure how we're going to do this. I've thought about a million ways to do it because we've both seen this movie so many times we can recite every single line of it.
Literally dozens of times.
Dozens of hundreds of times. So yeah, I've seen this movie sober. I've seen it drunk. I've seen it other things. I've seen this movie in a tree. I've seen it on a boat.
I would like this movie with a fox. I would like this movie in a box. Seriously, this is the movie that launched, I think, seriously, like launched the friendship of Jamel and I. We were good friends, but we both realized we loved Bad Boys. Yeah. Good times.
Yeah, so join us for Stream Team Podcast Episode 10 and our review commentary. I'm not sure what we're going to do yet, but something Bad Boys.
Hell yes.
All right, folks. Thank you for listening to the show. Had a great time.
And we didn't mention boobies once.
Oh, no. Wait.
Damn it, son of a bitch. See y'all next week.
All right, bye, folks.
Bye.
Stream Team Podcast is filmed in front of a live studio audience and features music by Broke for Free and the Not Quite Quartet. For show notes and more info, visit streamteam.tumblr.com.